What is going on, everybody, and welcome to my review for Good Boy. This is a new horror film from independent director Ben Leonberg, and the basic premise here is you have a man who moves into an inherited rural family home that is quickly discovered to be haunted by a supernatural presence, and the man's only line of defense against these evil forces is his canine best friend, Indy. But the story beats within Good Boy are not the cause to the current virality that it is presently experiencing. No, the reason for that is because it is a horror movie that is being told from the perspective of a dog. And when you think of horror, you typically associate it with death. And when you think of death, you do not want to associate that with dogs, the kindest, purest, and most innocent souls that walk this earth. So when the first trailer for this film dropped, it immediately had the internet buzzing, with thousands of people leaving comments that read things like, "Oh no, please don't kill the dog. Please don't let anything bad happen to the dog. Oh my God, I will not be able to see this movie if they hurt that sweet puppy." And I gotta say, even I myself, if not for the existence of this YouTube channel, I probably would not have been going to see this movie on opening night until I could at least Google what the fate of the dog is in this movie, because as a slasher fan, I can watch adults playing teenagers get hacked to pieces all night long. But you bring a dog into the mix, and I'm sorry, that's just where I have to bow out. The noise was so loud that it even prompted the filmmakers to release a mini teaser saying that they hear us, but they didn't do or say anything to calm anyone's concerns or paranoia. So because I have to make this video here today, I was forced to just go in blind, put my emotions on the line, and know that by the end of it, I could be sitting in a puddle of my own tears. Now, even though this film's gimmick, for lack of a better word, is enough to make this one of the more intriguing horror releases of the year, it is also one that does bring on a few concerns for me as well, because when I think of these alternative perspective horror films, I can't help but think about last year's In a Violent Nature. That's a movie that, despite having some standout moments and some signature kills, ultimately it's one that I felt got pretty boring pretty fast and just wasn't able to get a lot of mileage out of its focal character and concept. But I do recognize that these are two different subgenres we are working with. That film was a slasher, whereas this one is a haunted house movie, and I do think a dog will be much more capable of keeping my attention as opposed to just some dime a dozen run-in-the-mill brooding mute killer. So even though they are very different in terms of that, they are similar enough in terms of artistry and filmmaking to not have me pessimistic towards the movie going in, but enough to at least have me cautious and tempering my expectations. But before I get into my thoughts, I'd like to ask that while you're here, please consider giving the video a like and subscribing to the channel as well for more movie reviews. Make sure to get down in the comments below and tell me what you think about Good Boy. If you've seen it, what did you think about it? If you haven't seen it, will you be checking it out? I'd love to hear from you guys. Now let's get into this review. Starting with the positives, and I think I would just be flat out wrong to start anywhere other than giving an abundance amount of praise to the good boy himself, Indy here. And I want to do so by sending out a little message to the Academy. That's right, I know you guys are watching. Bring it in. Now look, I know dogs can't win awards at your show, and even if they could, you would never give an Oscar to one that starred in a horror movie because you continuously disrespect that genre year after year after year. But I swear to God, if I do not see this face and these paws walking your red carpet next year like that old Hollywood mainstream sellout from Anatomy of a Fall did, we're gonna have some problems. I just watched this beautiful pup walk casually through the performance of a lifetime with zero training, just natural talent from being a pure, good old-fashioned, treat-loving, curiosity-driven pooch. And if you guys do not give him the platform to receive the respect and recognition that he so rightly deserves, then I will have no choice but to consider that an act of violence towards the horror and dog-loving community, and we will not go silently into the night. Thank you. I'll see you next year. But in all seriousness, I don't think it's a stretch at all to say that this is one of the most impressive performances we have gotten in a movie all year, whether from a human or an animal. There have been countless of times where I was far less captivated by a human lead than I was with Indy here, and because he is a dog, you find yourself naturally clinging to every move that he makes, and the filmmakers know and prey on that fear that you have of something bad happening happening to him. And so you feel every emotion that you are convinced through the performance that he is feeling. If he looks sad, then you feel sad. If he looks scared, then you feel scared. And if he is in danger and you feel like something horrible is about to happen, you are on the edge of your seat, gripping your armrest, hoping that he finds a way to make it out of there. And that's just not always something you're able to manufacture with a human performance. And so I cannot commend enough both Indy himself, but as well as those supporting him and what they were able to accomplish with his character in Good Boy. But besides just getting the best out of his best friend and lead performer, Ben Leonberg also puts a lot of complimentary filmmaking on display as well. And I always love the look of independent films, but giving it from the perspective and eye level of a dog does add a little wrinkle and makes for some really interesting looks that we are not as accustomed to seeing. He has a great utilization of darkness in this film as well. It's what creates a lot of the better jump scares throughout the movie, but there's also a lot of effective moments that it will just be a single shot of like the corner of a room or looking out into the forest or down the stairs of a creepy basement, and it'll either be dark in the center of the frame or just the peripherals of the shot, and it really helps build that tension within you that maybe there's something that's there that you just can't see, or that something is about to jump out at you. And it's a good technique to induce fear within a viewer without actually needing something to happen, and it draws a lot of parallels to an experience that I'm sure a lot of you have had with your very own dogs, where they might stare off into a dark corner, and even though you don't see anything, you can't help but get paranoid at the idea or thoughts swirling in your head of what they could possibly be looking at. And so it's cool to draw that parallel between this movie and the dog within it, as well to an experience you may have with your very own dog. I think it makes it much more effective. One thing I loved so much about Good Boy that others might not be that crazy about is that you don't really get a whole lot from the story in terms of answers as to what is happening. Because Indy is a dog, there's really no possible way for him to fully understand the events that are taking place. And being that this movie is supposed to be told from his perspective, I'm glad that the audience is also put in that position of not fully understanding the events that are taking place. We don't really get to know a whole lot about Todd, the owner, other than that he is sick and that he loves Indy. And because we love Indy, we in turn want Todd to be safe from the horrors that are stalking them. And it's really that undying and unwithering love and loyalty that Indy has for his owner that drives the heart of this movie. And I think if they were to give you a little more insight into the events that are taking place, it would weaken that experience a little bit. So I think that the level of ambiguity that they use in this movie was the correct approach. Moving on to the negatives and sticking with the character of Todd here for a second, I can't 100% confirm this, but it sounded a lot like to me that most, if not all, of his dialogue was added in post-production. And typically the risk these movies run when they implement this ADR technique is that oftentimes the actor can feel very vocally detached from the scene that is being acted out on screen. And I think it's because it's a lot harder to get the right level of emotion in your voice when you are doing so after the fact, as opposed to speaking while you are presently in the moment of the scene. And I felt like that struggle was very evident while I was watching this film. Add in the fact that the line delivery itself is a little rough around the edges, and so every time he spoke, I could not help but notice how not present the dialogue side of the character felt. And so I think by far it was the weakest aspect of a film that is on the whole very well made. The only other criticism I have for this movie is that when it comes to the scares, it can get a little repetitive at times, mainly in the moments where you actually get to see the demon ghost death thing that is haunting them. I think this movie is at its most effective and most scary when they show you very little, as opposed to the times where they show you maybe a little too much. Because from a design standpoint, the ghost is not all that compelling. I feel like it's something that we do not need to see a whole lot throughout the film, but I feel like when they do use it, they go to the well one too many times, and it does start to become a little more same old, same old. And so for a movie that I think does get a lot right in terms of scaring its audience, these are the moments that do feel a lot weaker in comparison. So those are all of my thoughts on Good Boy. I think for what this movie is trying to do and what it is trying to accomplish, it does so very well. I could easily see this becoming a indie horror darling for many years to come. I'm not exaggerating when I say that the performance that Indy gives here is one of the most impressive performances I have seen in a movie this year, but there is also some beautiful filmmaking on display as well. The only thing that I think holds me back from fully recommending you go check this out in theaters is that it is only a little over an hour long in runtime. And so even though I think the quality of the film is definitely worth your time, the length of it may not be worth your money. So the safest bet probably is for you to just wait for it to be available on a streaming service. But when you do see this movie, make sure you stick around until after the credits, because they do show a little behind the scenes how the movie is made segment. And I think when you watch that, you will appreciate all the time, energy, and effort that was put into making this movie happen even more than you do just from watching it. Also, when you do see it, make sure you come back to this video and get down in the comments below and tell me what you thought about it. If you like this review, please hit the thumbs up on the video and subscribe to the channel as well if you want to see more. And I'll see everybody in my next one. Peace.